Please like this video and subscribe to the channel.
Greetings, family, and welcome back to Raising the Vibe. As always, thank you so much for joining me for this video. I really appreciate the time and attention you share with me by watching my videos. If you haven't already, I would ask you to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell if you want to be made aware every time I upload new content, and definitely hit that thumbs up button if you like the video. This is not going to be a very long video, but I want to talk about the way Black people in America eat and the effect that it's having on their lifespan and their quality of life while they're alive. And the reason I want to talk about this is because recently I was out and about and I noticed that not everybody, there are many people at a healthy weight, many people slightly overweight, but there are tons of Black people in America who are just being debilitated by their weight, which is obviously affected by what they're eating and how much of it they're eating. So I love seafood, and it's spring and we're able to get crabs now, like whole crabs that we can eat. And I recently went to get some at a seafood spot, and I saw an older Black gentleman, and I have to pause on that because a lot of times I'll be thinking people are older than me because of their physical condition, and they're not necessarily older than me. But whatever, it was a gentleman who was coming out of the spot with a bag filled with several styrofoam containers. And I mean, he was overweight and he could barely friggin' walk. And I couldn't help but think, I wonder what's in those containers. Is it steamed seafood, or is it fried fish, fried whatever? The same things that have led him to be in that condition. I then, on this particular day, went to, just a few days ago, went to a grocery store. I saw people in there overweight, walking with walkers, barely could walk. And I'm like, what's going on? Now, these were older people, but I also saw younger people who were quite obese or approaching obese. At this point in time, they're still able to walk and do the things that they need to do. But the question is, how long is that going to last? And am I looking at what those people are going to be looking like 20 years from now? When I'm seeing people with walkers in the grocery store and who can barely walk because they are so obese. And so, what I wanted to do, because this is a constant theme with me, it's something that is important to me. I'm concerned about our race. I'm concerned about I'm concerned about the food humanity is eating in general, because it is being tampered with, at least in this country, by our government in terms of what they allow to be put in our food, what they're spraying in the air that is falling on our soil, what they're putting on the plants, the pesticides that people, farm employees have to wear hazmat suits to even spray onto the food, the level at which farm workers are the first to get sick as a result of exposure to all those toxic pesticides. And all of that concerns me. I'm a health coach, and I'm a vegetarian who eats seafood and fish, and I am concerned about what people are putting into their mouths, what they're paying for, and how it's affecting their health. Now, a while back, I did a video on another platform, and I talked about being in a grocery store and looking at the food the person behind me put on the conveyor belt. And I'd like to share it now. A few items, a couple things I needed. I got in line, one where a cashier would check me out, which I try to do as often as possible. And so another Black woman came up behind me, looked to be like in her 30s or 40s, and began putting her items on the belt. And I happened to look back,
and I'm seeing Lunchables, hot fries, little banquet meals, turn around, try to mind my business a bit, because I'm thinking, no way in this day and age is anybody going to the grocery store and buying nothing but processed foods. But then I couldn't help myself, so I turned around and looked again, and this black woman is loading more boxes and bags and cans of items on that conveyor belt. I did not see any fresh fruit, any fresh vegetables. As far as I could tell, I mean, I couldn't really look at it, intently, but I didn't see at a glance any frozen vegetables, anything. Just a bunch of processed foods that she could throw in a microwave or whatever it is she's going to do with them. And I couldn't help but wonder how in this age, in this day and age, as they say, in February of 2024, with as much information as has been made available to the American public about the toxicity of processed foods, how is it that a grown, fully grown woman can go into the grocery store and buy nothing but processed foods? I am bewildered. I can't understand it. And I stood there thinking, these are the foods that are going to make you sick. I looked at her. She looked healthy enough for now, but I can't help but wonder if this is the kind of food she's eating on a daily basis. How's it going to turn out? The prospects are not good as far as I can see. And I hope she wakes up and learns to make better food choices. And I hope all of you are making better food choices.
So, as you can see, the woman was really just buying a lot of processed food. Does that mean she didn't have meat at home or vegetables and fruit at home? No, but she certainly came into the grocery store that day and everything she put on that conveyor belt was processed food. The reality is that processed food in America is toxic and it is harmful to our health. And when you are buying food that is in boxes, bags, and cans, it would be to your best interest to look at the ingredients. I always ingredient shop. What's on here? When I start seeing disodium phosphate and all these things that I can't pronounce, when I see hydrogenated oils, when I see so-called natural flavors or citric acid, I know that this food contains ingredients that is not going to be healthy for me. And I make a decision usually to leave it there, but I'm not perfect. I might want something and it may have one thing in it and I'll go, hey, I'm going to get it. But for the most part, I try to buy organic, I try to buy non-GMO, and I try to focus mostly on fruits and vegetables for good health. And so I'm just concerned with Black folk and what we're eating. And it seems to me that the food that we are eating is really just killing us. And the foods that are traditionally soul foods can be quite unhealthy too. Fried chicken, greens with grease in it and all kind of meat in it, mac and cheese piled up with dairy. I'm not saying you can't eat those things. Well, I don't eat fried chicken, but I certainly eat greens. I don't put meat in it. I make mac and cheese at home from time to time, and I have eaten it out. So I'm not saying that those foods can't be eaten, but I am saying that it is important for us to focus on what we're eating, to minimize unhealthy food, and to maximize the amount of fresh fruit and healthy vegetables that we are ingesting. It will cut down on all of the hypertension, otherwise called high blood pressure in our communities. And when I was growing up, I used to think that high blood pressure was something that had a higher incidence among Black Americans because of our genetics. It wasn't until I got older and began focusing on what I eat and being a health coach and all that sort of thing that I realized that's from eating habits that are passed along from generation to generation, causing the same illnesses from generation to generation, particularly high blood pressure and also diabetes. So, the amount of food we're eating, actually, if you wanted to eat a huge amount of food, but it's fruits and vegetables, you would be okay doing that. There's so much fiber and bulk in that that after a certain point, you're not going to be able to eat anymore anyway, versus mac and cheese or toxic cereal in a box and all of that. You can shovel that in for quite a long time before you get full. So it's what we're eating. When we're not eating healthy, it's the amount that we're eating. And I would suggest that it's also the timing of when we're eating, because human beings are not intended to start eating the first thing they wake up in the morning and eat all day. 3 meals: breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks in between each, snacks after dinner. That's not how we are designed. That's not historically how we were. We're designed to go periods of time without eating, which allows our body to focus on repairing, digesting, and when it's not digesting, repairing. Literally, the body will heal and repair itself if you're not forcing it to constantly digest food all the time. So I engage in intermittent fasting. I recommend fasting. I don't recommend excessive fasting where your body starts breaking down and all of that. No. I think a day of fasting, 48 hours, or 3 days of fasting is fine. I think that if you don't want to go for a day or more without food, then intermittent fasting, where you count in the amount of time you sleep, maybe stop eating a few hours before bed, don't eat until after lunch. All that time you're sleeping counts as fasted time. And so you give your body time to heal and repair. Just don't eat, eat, eat all day. But anyway, I don't want to turn this into a rant. It is a concern to me. I didn't make that video about the woman behind me in the grocery store to tear her down or to criticize her. I made that video because I'm concerned about what we are doing to ourselves and the effect that it's having on our quality of life as well as our lifespan. I know we want to live as long as we can, but how satisfying is that when you can barely walk, you're in pain all the time, and one of the main things you can do to reverse that is to focus on what you're eating and how often you're eating. I know it takes discipline, but it can be done and it's worth it. Certainly, to be pain free, to be youthful and healthy in your body is worth focusing on what you're eating. And yeah, we're all going to slip up sometime. I certainly enjoyed that chocolate chip cookie that I heated up and plopped some ice cream on top of yesterday, but I'm not going to eat that every day. And I'm certainly not going to eat it more than once per day. So yeah, indulge your tastes and have things that you like, but start packing in more fruits and vegetables. It will change your taste buds. Fruit is delicious. It is. I've got some organic mangoes that I recently got, six in a half dozen, and they taste like candy, literally. So, you know, that's all I'm going to say, family. Stay healthy, stay safe out there, focus on what you're eating, and preserve the quality of your life as well as the length of your life and the food and what you're eating and drinking. I didn't even get started on sweet teas and sodas and all of that, but you all know what those are doing to your body and how you don't need them, or you need to at least minimize them. Drink plenty of water, eat your fruits and vegetables, get a little walking in. A little walking, it's easy to do. It's one of the best exercises out there. And on that note, I'm done. I will see you next time for the next video. And until then, family, peace and love, love and light.